This week on Personally Speaking, our guest is the singer, composer, actor Dez Duron. You know him from The Voice? Well, now you can know him on Broadway as he's starring in a musical called Maybe Happy Ending. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to Personally Speaking. I'm your host, Msgr Jim Lisante, and actor, singer, and songwriter Dez Duron joins me now. Dez is from Shreveport, Louisiana, and he grew up singing in the church where his parents pastored. He was a football quarterback at Yale University when he left school to audition for the NBC series The Voice to pursue his dreams of being a performer, and he made it all the way to the top 8. Dez is making his Broadway debut in a new musical called Maybe Happy Ending, and he released his first song, Let's Just Call It Love, this past spring. Dez is here with us today to talk about his life, his career, his family, and the values that matter the most to him. Joining me now, I'm so pleased to welcome to Personally Speaking the actor, singer, composer, Dez Duron. Before we go to our interview with Dez Duron, let's listen to him singing a piece of that song that he wrote called Let's Just Call It Love.
Feels like home, but it's new and exciting and our own. And even when it's changing, I feel safe, which can be a little scary. I don't want this to ever go away. Let's just call it love, though I think one word could never say enough, until I find a way to make you feel what I am always thinking of. Let's just call it love.
Dez Duron is our guest. We welcome him to Personally Speaking. And for our friends and watchers and listeners around the world, in New York City, when a play or musical opens up, very, very powerful influence on whether or not that musical is successful is the review of the New York Times. New York Times is one of so many outlets that decided that a Maybe Happy Ending is, in fact, a great, great musical. And I want to just share with our listeners and watchers, before I get into a specific question with Dez, this particular quote, which is so beautiful. What Maybe Happy Ending asks, even in its ambivalent title, is whether that's a good thing for them and for us. They're mirror images. How can people do this? How can they survive loss, meaning survive the death of others? If the start of love is the start of loss, is it perhaps better to erase one's memories? A good question, it says. Des, I got to ask you, in this powerful new musical, which everyone seems to love, and you have this wonderful, wonderful role in it, but on a more personal level, the question that it asks of dealing with the risk of loving and losing, in your own life, have you ever experienced, because you're young, have you experienced the promise of love that disappears because we lose people we love?
I've been pretty blessed. I haven't lost a lot of close family members. The ones that I have lost have been very old, close to even 100. So I feel very blessed. I've definitely experienced heartbreak as far as thinking that I had found love that would last forever, but losing someone is just a completely different type of heartache. So I've been lucky to not have to experience that on a surprising or devastating level. You know, I had a lot of preparation for my great grandfather, and then my grandmother who passed probably about 10 years ago. And then my grandfather, but I haven't had to experience any tragedies. But a lot of the show is about running out of time and seeing it coming, and it's still kind of hurting. And but no, I haven't ever lost someone that I was in love with. Thank goodness.
When you go into a show like this, I presume, like every actor, you hope it's going to be successful, but you don't necessarily know. There's a certain level of risk. Did you know going in that this thing was going to touch so many hearts and minds, that it's hugely popular already, loved by the critics, but also loved by people? Did you know going in that this show was going to be a hit?
Well, as soon as I heard the music, I knew I wanted to be a part of it forever, however long I could possibly be a part. And then when I read the script, I knew it was something really special. Just the emotions were flowing all the way around the table. And I started with the show 5 years ago in Atlanta,
Hmm.
and then have done a couple readings and a workshop. And the way I felt about it was every time I get to be a part of this show, it's an honor and it's a pleasure. And I like what it makes me think about. I like the person that it kind of encourages me to be and the life it encourages me to live. So they could have asked me to do 10 more readings with no guarantee of Broadway, and I would have been here every time. I love the show. I love this team. And I feel really creating it has been the best part. I mean, the reviews are awesome. I think
Yeah.
they're cherry on top, though, because we've had such an amazing time creating the show, and we just love it so much. Mhm.
Yeah. Now, Dez Duron's our guest. Des, you've been like any actor, any composer, any singer, you've been through the experience of sometimes finding great success as you have now with maybe happy ending, but no one in the arts doesn't have the experience of going for a part that you were perfect for and it doesn't happen. That experience of getting rejected. As a person who's sensitive as you are, how do you handle it when it doesn't go your way?
I mean, I think you learn as you go for sure. I've been auditioning for musical theater parts for 8 years now, and so this is my first Broadway credit. This show was my first equity credit 5 years
Oh,
ago. So it's been a lot of rejection for me. I think luckily I have always kind of had my own thing on the side, being a music artist and kind of doing my own concerts.
hmm.
Um, so that's kind of created an outlet for me to be myself and do things on my own terms. But actors are brave people, man. They folks that are just like focused in on that and don't have an outlet. My hats are off to them. They are resilient, amazing people, and I look up to them.
Maybe Happy Ending is a wonderful blend of actors from different cultures and backgrounds. So I got to ask you because it's such an interesting name, Des Duron. What's the origin of that name?
It's actually originally Duron, which is French. I'm Acadian French or Cajun French.
Okay.
So my grandfather spoke better French than English. I unfortunately don't speak any French. But yeah, that's where that kind of name comes from. It was funny when I was on The Voice, I had kind of people from different cultures reaching out to me, and there was a large like Mexican culture that was like Mexican pride, Duran, Des Duran. And I was like, I wish, man, I wish, but I'm just Cajun. So Duran is, I really don't know the story. I think, these stories get lost, the American, landscape. The story I've been told is that his second grade teacher just didn't like the way it was spelt and changed it, and it was that way forever. But I've got cousins that are still Duarons, but we're Durons, so
Isn't
it just
that
kind of
something?
stuck.
Okay. Now, for those who don't know, in Dez's background, he had a couple of parents who were actually involved as pastors in a church. But I was more intrigued by the fact that you were yourself a singer in church. And just know that if the Broadway thing doesn't work, we'll gladly take you at my parish on Long Island because we love to have your voice
I
up on
love
our
it.
altar. But
I
tell
gotta
me
come
about
visit.
tell me the experience. Like most kids don't have the confidence to get up and talk. There's much less to get up and to sing. The confidence, the inspiration that made you say, I love to sing. I'm going to do it in public. I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm going to have the confidence to do it. Where did that come from?
I really wish I could tell you, and it's something I think about often because I think the years from being a kid to being 19 years old
Mhm.
have served me my entire life, my passion for singing. My parents are both ministers. They're both the children of ministers, and I'm one of six kids, or one of seven kids, and six of them are ministers as well.
Wow.
So uh, we're church people, and I really didn't have a choice to sing to start. My mother was writing. My father would send out tapes, and on one half would be his sermon for that month, and
Yeah.
on the other half would be these children songs my mom had written, like I'm allergic to griping, I won't yell at you, please don't yell at me, disobey, no play. And it was basically Christian Barney. And so we were in the studio every month recording those songs that she wrote.
Hmm.
And so, but I really did love singing from a very young age, and it's all I have ever wanted to do. And I was pretty passionate about it. And funny enough, I always would say I don't want to sing in church. Like I want to sing love songs. Like even from
Okay.
3 years old in church, like the deacons would come up and be like, "You're gonna sing in church," and I would be like, "I'm gonna sing love songs."
And here
And
you
I don't
are.
know
Here
where
you
I
are
got that
singing a love
in my
song.
head. Yeah, exactly. But I think church provides such an amazing place to hone those gifts. I mean, so many of our great musicians came out of church, and I think it's just provides a weekly space for you to come and make mistakes in a loving environment and
Yeah.
be able to just like push it to the limit. I remember my little brother, I was going through puberty and my voice would crack every Sunday, like viciously crack.
Okay.
But I just didn't care. I just
Right,
wanted
right.
to sing. And I remember my brother told me like maybe 10 years ago, I'm well past puberty at this point, and he just said, "Man, I gotta be honest, I would come to church every day trembling for you. Like I was scared every Sunday morning."
Isn't that
And I
something?
didn't think about it. For me, it was just like, this is a safe place full of people I love. And so
Right.
I'm gonna try some things. I'm gonna sing to the best of my ability. And if I embarrass myself, I'll be back next week. But
Dez
yeah.
Duron's our guest. Some of you know him from The Voice. We now hope you will know him from maybe Happy Ending, a great Broadway musical that he's one of the stars of. You know, a couple of years back, I got the opportunity to interview Beyonce, and I asked her the same question, like, where did this come from? And she said, I was raised in the church and singing in the church. So apparently, you have a rich tradition of people who really make an amazing career by starting in the Lord, by starting in church. Speaking of that origin, though, for a second, I mean, I know I am the reflection of my mom and dad. When you look back at your mom and dad, especially with all those children, what did they do right in raising you and your brothers and sisters?
You know, I talk to my parents all the time and just say thank you
Mm.
for the culture that they created, because I have six best friends still as
Uh,
an adult. And I always thought that was so normal until I went to
yeah.
college and met a bunch of people who really hate their siblings. And I think one thing my mom really did well is to get to the root of the problem. I remember every time I'd come in really angry about something with my brother, she would always say this line that made no sense to me, which was, "Hey, he's not your enemy. Like, let's start there. He's not your enemy." And it always just kind of was like, who cares? He stole my Lego. You know what I mean? Like, and she would always get to the root of our relationship. Hey, we're on the same side. Hey, this is your brother. He wants the best for you. I think y'all are just having a hard time communicating that to each other. And so it created this like thing where my brother wasn't the conflict. Me and my brother love each other, and we have conflict right now. And that's translated, I think, into adulthood where we're all able to just support each other in such
Hmm.
a wonderful way. And when there do arise differences, we're able to kind of like maybe bring it to the council of brothers and sisters. That's one of the joys of having seven of us, but also do it in such a way where it's like, hey, I want the best for you in the same way that you want the best for me. So let's figure this out together. So I think that's one thing my mom definitely did correctly.
Des Duron, so I guess, Des, when you've been on The Voice, and we all know that what comes with that is every teenage girl in love with you in America, and lots of fans and lots of people blowing smoke up your dress, and now on Broadway, a wonderful hit on Broadway. Um, what does keep you grounded and humble so you don't necessarily believe your own press? Is it those siblings of yours and mom and dad? Like, how do you stay rooted when ego would be a very, very easy path to follow?
I think now at this age, I've just lived enough life to know, like, as Sinatra said, "You're riding high in April, shot down in May," man. Like, life is full of ups and downs, and we all experience them. I think also I never saw singing and fame as what I wanted. I just liked singing. So it
Hmm.
wasn't anything that I like wanted to aspire to be famous. I just wanted to do this with my life. So like whatever that took, and fame can help that and help the longevity of that, certainly. So I think that helped. But yes, not to sound like a broken record, my family. When you're in a group chat and you just got done singing as the top eight on a national program with 14 million viewers, and it only remains the hot topic in the group chat for about 30 minutes. It keeps you humble and it lets you know there's other things going on in life. There's a big world out there. The world does not revolve around you. And I enjoy that. It keeps life interesting. I wouldn't want the pressure of having to constantly provide the entertainment or the meaning. So I enjoy having a big old family that
It
we
keeps
all
you so rooted. Dez Duron's our guest. And I got to ask you because for folks who don't know, yes, you're an actor and yes, you're a singer, but something you do that I'm fascinated by because I think it's a special divine gift. Dez is also a composer. And I'm just wondering where that inspiration comes from. I can get up in a pulpit and create a good homily, good sermon, but I couldn't write a song if my life depended on it. So I know you're out there, not just with maybe happy ending, but your own music as well. You've written your own stuff. Where does the inspiration to write music come from?
Uh, yeah, I love writing music. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. My parents are both songwriters.
Oh,
My dad's an
okay.
amazing songwriter, as is my mom. But to be honest, I just love singing, so I had no interest in writing music. Kind of, and growing up, I just was gonna find the best songs and sing them.
Hmm.
Um, but when I went to college, I experienced I guess I was just homesick, but it was kind of a deep depression that I'd never really experienced. And just like life moving so fast. I think it was the first big change in life that I couldn't change. And I went away for college. I went to Connecticut and I missed Louisiana. I missed my family. And I heard a song called Stop This Train by John Mayer. And it just expressed everything that I was feeling that was so existential and I couldn't put into words. And that was the first song that really kind of made me like, oh, this is what music can do. If you'll express it and just really sit down and wrestle with a thought, you can express it in such a way that gives you some release, gives you some healing, and can also do the same for others when they hear it. And then the second song was I had just done my first time on The Voice and I didn't make it, and all the trailers were coming out and I was seeing all my friends on there making the team, and I was kind of feeling sorry for myself. The next day I kind of had to lay it around all day, and the song That's Life
Ah,
by Frank Sinatra came on, man, and it really like kicked me in the pants. Like it kind of like called me out for being the kind of mopey, quitter. And so it gave me a lot of resilience and it gave me a boost and it made me fight instead of just giving up in the face of disappointment. And I just kind of was like, if that's what songs can do, I'd love to do that for people. And so now it's become like a sense of therapy for me, as well as kind of a mission of just like, I think the human experience is the human experience. Obviously, we all have unique things that we gravitate to and feel and the way we look at things. But if I feel a certain way and I'm experiencing something, chances are that someone else is as well. So I think wanting to I don't know, express that and get that off my chest as well as like maybe find human bonds out there. I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of the journey of writing for me.
Des Duron is our guest, and maybe Happy Ending is the musical on Broadway that's a big hit, and Des is one of the leads. And I mentioned that to you, Des, because some of the reviewers, it's interesting you talk about Frank Sinatra and That's Life, because they've actually compared your singing to Frank Sinatra. So you have this great charisma, you have this wonderful voice, you have a great look, you're young. So I have to ask you a question that I'm sure you never grapple with, but it's intriguing to me. We live in a culture that lionizes youth and looks and personality and charisma. But as long as we're alive, we're going through the process of aging. Do you ever wonder about the process of aging for you? Like, in some ways, maybe Happy Ending is about the fact that sooner or later our lives play out and things end. For you, are you frightened at all of the reality that as long as we're alive, we're going through the process of aging?
I'm definitely, I mean, you're asking the hard hitting questions here. It's something I think about often at my age. I think I'm at kind of a transitional age. And some would say I'm past the transitional age as far as kind of what I want my life to look like. I'm 34, which I'm probably not supposed to say out loud. My manager's
We can edit that if you want.
yeah, no, you're good. You're good. But I'm in a career that, like you said, is obsessed with youth. And I'm lucky I sing a style of music that people don't mind you getting older and singing it. But I mean, even just as far as making decisions of like, what do I want? Do I want to have kids? Like, I probably should get on that relatively soon, find somebody to have kids with. Just those are things I'm always thinking about right now. And being in the show is really helpful because I don't think those are questions you want to ignore. I think
Yeah.
especially in the age of distraction, it can be really easy to. I could bury myself in Instagram and going out in New York and wake up 3 years later with no more progress on how I feel about these questions. But being a part of a show that's so meaningful and has so much depth, I think is helping me get back into wrestling with that question. Because I think that's work. I think to come to clarity is work. You don't just come to it just walking around. I think it's something you have to wrestle with. So waking up and engaging in that wrestling every day is a task. So I'm grateful to have a show that deals with it in such a kind, sweet way, and is very caring, and keeps me kind of like, all right, these are things we need to think about.
What a gift that is. What a grace. For the whole length of the musical, which I hope you're in for many, many years, and the success of this wonderful, maybe happy ending. But for our listeners and watchers around the world who maybe weren't aware of The Voice and are discovering it now in an interview like this, how do we continue to follow not only your singing, but also your composing? Where do people go to learn more about Dez?
Yeah, I think the best place to go right for now is just my socials. So Instagram would be at Dez Duron.
Okay.
Facebook would be Facebook.com/Dez Duron Music. I think on TikTok it's Dez Duron Music. That's probably the best place to find news about it. I'm working on a website right now just to kind of keep people informed. And now that we're past the preview process, my kind of focus is definitely going to recording music and kind of getting the songs that I have written that I'm really excited about recorded here. There's so much talent here in New York, so I'm hoping to find some collaborators here that can kind of bring these songs to life.
You and I are living in this world. There's that a lot of people, the guests on a program like this are authors and actors and people in political life and all walks of life. And I'm often intrigued by the country. Clearly, we showed in the last election a very divided country, the world, a very divided world. And it's easy sometimes when you look around the world, and especially if you're thinking of raising up a family, to wonder about what's the world coming to? Where's our hope? Can we keep hope alive in a world that seems to be in conflict? So, Dez Duron, how do you get up in the morning with great dreams for the future, including a family life and a career, and stay hopeful? How do you do that?
Man, it's hard sometimes. I can be a bit of a pessimist,
Okay.
but I think hope is the only thing that keeps you going. I don't think if you don't have hope for tomorrow, how can you be your best self today? What's it worth, you know? So hope is everything, especially for an artist or a creative. But even for just a family man or anybody who's getting up 9 to 5 and working a job maybe they don't like to provide for their family, which I think is the most honorable thing in the world. I would like to say I don't think there's anything intrinsically altruistic about my choice to be an artist. I think whatever you choose to kind of do with your life, you should do what you want to do. But I think hope's everything for me. I think I've found hope in humility in my times of pessimism, that I don't know what is coming tomorrow. I can be a bit of a know-it-all, and that crosses over into my pessimism. And I think I have to kind of look at myself and say, like, hey, man, your negative outlook has been proven wrong over and over again. You know, you thought you would be done singing pretty fast. You thought you were going to get recast and maybe happy ending and you never be in the Broadway thing. So you really don't know what's coming. You don't know what the future of this country is. Like something could happen that brought us all together.
Yeah.
Um, Anything could happen. And we certainly didn't see COVID coming, you know?
Yeah,
And if
no,
something
no.
that big can catch us all off guard, maybe something really positive can come and catch us all off guard as well. So the days when I have a really hard time finding hope, I just choose humility and keep marching along.
This
So
is
I
this
don't
is
know if
this is a follow-up,
that,
but I'm wondering, when you have the talents, the gifts, the abilities that Dez Duron has, this is a question I had asked Derek Jeter, the wonderful baseball Hall of Famers.
yeah.
Why would God choose you to give these gifts to? Des, you have any idea why the composing talent, the acting talent, the singing talent, the gifts that you have, what does he expect you to do with them? Like, why you?
Wow. I mean, I think this is something I'm going to be thinking about now after this, man. That's a great question. I feel very blessed. I do feel so blessed to be able to sing, and do the things that I get to do and have the family that I have and everything that I've been given is so much. And I do think about the responsibility that comes to that. I mean, the Bible says to whom much is given, much is required. And, I don't think it's something that's been on my mind super recently. So thank you for this question. I hope that maybe eventually I can find what kind of my message is
Hmm.
that I'm supposed to give to the world. And maybe I can encourage people, like me or who aren't like me. I don't know.
Yeah.
This life. That's a great question. Thank you for that question. I'm
Uh,
gonna be
Des
thinking
Duron.
about that
No,
for a
you
long
think
time.
about it. We'll talk some more, God willing, in the future.
Yeah,
But
I would
thank you
love
for
that.
coming on, personally speaking, and for our listeners and watchers around the world. If you're coming to New York, by all means, maybe happy ending. Please see it and get to see this terrifically talented young man in action. And I hope that Des will be hearing from you for many, many years to come. But most importantly, I love how you not only talk about your music and your play and those things, but how a lot of times when I've been doing this for 30 years, a lot of times guests have canned answers and they're kind of, and you don't. You think through your answers. You're spontaneous, you're honest, you're humble, and you're a great gift to us. You really are. As my
Thank
Jewish
you.
friends would say, you're a mitzvah. You're a wonderful blessing. And thank you for sharing your blessings on Personally Speaking. Much success to you, my friend.
Thank you, Jim. I've really enjoyed it. These questions have been amazing. So thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Thanks for being with us on Personally Speaking. If you need to reach me for any reason, you can do that at personallyspeakingpodcast@gmail.com. You probably listened to this program on the Catholic channel, 129. And you can do more than that. You can watch it as well on YouTube if you like by searching under Personally Speaking with Msgr Jim Lisante. Please share and let others know about Personally Speaking. I'm delighted to serve as host and executive producer, Personally Speaking. Our producer is Lisa Jandovitz. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be with you again next time on Personally Speaking.